Hello students, welcome back to lecture 3 of string handling. Today we'll be completing remaining methods of string class. Yes, so today let's begin with concat function. This concat function is used to join two strings. It is something similar to your plus operator. Like when we use plus operator for joining two strings, right? If you want to use a function, the function available for joining or appending two strings is concat. And how to use this, we can see it in an example here. If you have two strings, Java and program, you have to make use of this function in the given format here. Java.concat, and within the bracket, you write another string. Instead of the string literal, you can even use the variable s1 dot concat s2, where s1 and s2 contain some string literal. So in any way you can use it. So the output of this expression will be Java program. Okay. See here there is a space. That's why you can see a space in between the two strings Java and program. But on its own, it will not insert any character in between the two given words. Fine. So it will just append the two strings without doing any kind of editing. It will not insert any character on its own. Therefore, be careful when you write the output of concat. While writing, do not insert any space in between if there is no space given before the letter. Okay. Yes. So that is about the concat function. Now, the next four functions equalsIgnoreCase, compareTo, and compareToIgnoreCase. These four methods are used for comparing two given strings. Like in Java, we use double equal for comparing two integers or two double values or two characters. But you cannot compare two strings using relational operator equal to. For comparing two strings, you need to use one of these string methods only. Okay, so let's start with equals function. Now, equals function is used to compare two given strings, and it returns a Boolean value as an output. If the two given strings are exactly matching, the output returned will be true. Otherwise, it will return false. Now, let's see an example here. For example, if your string S is Java, where J is in capital, and S1 contains again Java, but here all the letters are in small case. Now, when you write SOP S dot equals S1, the way you need to use it is same like concat S dot equals S1. So if the two strings are exactly matching with respect to the case, then only it will return true, otherwise it will return false. So in this case, since the first character is not matching, the output returned will be false. Okay, fine. Now, the next method is equalsIgnoreCase. This is something similar to equals, as this also returns a Boolean value as an output. But the only difference is it will ignore the case while comparing the two given strings. For example, if you consider the same string S, if you consider the same string S and S1, which was discussed in previous example, here when we apply equalsIgnoreCase, the output will be true because it will ignore the case of the first character J. Okay, so whenever like the case is not to be considered, you can use equals ignore case. So now let's understand all these functions, and later when we start doing programs, you can apply these functions according to the requirement. Fine. So equals will consider the case, whereas equals ignore case will ignore the case while comparing two given strings. And the return type of these functions is a Boolean value, that is true or false. Fine. Now, next comes a very important function, compareTo. This is a very interesting and function. One second, let me just change it. Yeah. Okay. So the next method is compareTo. Now this will compare two given strings with respect to their ASCII value, and therefore the return type is an integer. Okay. So let's see the examples here. For example, if you consider this, here the first string is ABC dot compare to capital ABC. Now here how the comparison takes place is, it will first compare the first character of both the corresponding strings, and if they are same, it will go to the next following character. Fine. Now, in this case, the first character is not same. Therefore, it will stop checking further. It will not check any further characters. It won't compare any following characters, and it will return the difference in their ASCII value. Now, here you know the ASCII value of small a is 97 and capital A is 65. And the difference between 97 and 65 is 32. So the output of the first expression will be 32, a positive value. Okay, so that is how compareTo functions. And also, just remember that the difference in the ASCII value of corresponding letters of uppercase and lowercase is always 32. You know, small letters start from 97 to 122, capital starts from 65 to 90. So accordingly, the sign will differ. So that you can check, and remember that difference in corresponding letters of upper and lower case is always 32. Okay, now let's go to next example here. For example, this example where both the strings are same. Now here how does it work is, first, as I told you before, the first letter of both the strings are compared. Here they are exactly same. So the difference in their ASCII is 0. And then it proceeds to the next character of the given strings. Here again it is same. So the difference in their ASCII value is 0. Now it proceeds to the third corresponding letter of both the strings. Here again it is same. So the difference in their ASCII value is 0. So finally this will return the output 0. So you can say that when both the strings are same, are exactly same, the compareTo function returns 0 as an answer. Okay. Okay, fine. Now let's move to the next example. Yeah, let's go to this. Yeah, try out this one. Here again, the first letter itself is differing, not same. So no further checking takes place, and it returns the difference in their ASCII value, which is 65 minus 97. So it is minus 32. So you can say that whenever S1 is less than S2, it returns a negative value that is less than 0. So here you can say this S1 is less than S2. How can you say that? You have to compare them with their ASCII value to tell whether first string is greater than second or less than second. Accordingly, it will return a negative or a positive value, as you can see in the first two cases. Okay, now coming to the next example. Here, here the first letter is common in both. So the output is 0 and it goes to the second character of the corresponding string. Here it finds the difference. So no further checking takes place and it returns the difference in their ASCII value, and capital B minus small b will give you minus 32. Right? You can check it is 66 minus 98. And also I told you the difference in corresponding letters of capital and lowercase is always 32. Check the sign and give value 32 if you have same corresponding letter. Okay, the last example here, abc.compareTo this. Here again, the first letter is common. So the difference is 0 and it proceeds to the second corresponding letter. Here B and this is capital B. There is a difference. So no further checking takes place and it returns the difference in their ASCII value. Fine, which will be plus 32. First decide the sign and then calculate their difference of the ASCII values. Okay, so in exam they can give you any two strings and ask you to write the output or evaluate, etc. So make sure you understand the working of compareTo. Fine. Remember that compareTo returns an integer value. Okay. Now, same way, compareToIgnoreCase is also returning an integer value. The only difference is it will ignore the case. Fine. So if you see this example, ABC dot compareToIgnoreCase ABC, it will return 0. Fine. So just the most important methods of today's class are equals and compareTo. They can ask you the difference between them. So remember the return type of these methods. All of them are used for comparing two given strings, but equals and equalsIgnoreCase returns a Boolean value, whereas compareTo and compareToIgnoreCase returns an integer value as they compare two strings with respect to their ASCII values. Okay, fine. Hope you understood that. Let's go to the next important function. Just a minute. Yes, so the next method is value of. Now this value of accepts argument of different data types and converts them into a string data type. You can see here the argument it accepts is of type integer, and value of converts this integer to a string. Whereas in the second example, the argument is of type long. So whatever argument of any data type accepted by value of function will be converted to a string data type. Okay. So how do we use this function? I'll just give you one simple example. For example, if I write this function, you have to use it like this: string dot value of For example, if I accept integer plus string dot value of a double value here, 5.5 suppose. Now, if I write it within a SOPLN statement or system.out.println, what output will it display? Can you guess the output for the given statement? As per the explanation which was given for value of. Value of converts the accepted argument into a string data type. So apply that and try to get the output for this statement. Okay, the output will be 25.5. Yes, some of you must have predicted it right. So internally what happens is this 2 will get converted to a string, right? String plus this 5.5, which is the double value, will get converted to a string by this value of function of class string. So this becomes 5.5 in string format. And when you display this, here plus will act like a concat operator, which will join both of them, thus giving you the output to 5.5. It is just appending both of them because the data type involved are of type string. Fine. So here you can see this plus is something like concat function of string class. Plus is an operator and concat is a function. Both of them do the same task. Okay. So with this, we completed all the functions of string class. So please revise all of them. And next class, we'll have a very interesting exercise. So if you are perfect with all these methods, I'm sure you are going to enjoy that exercise. So please come prepared. So with this, we stop here. Thank you so much.